After the hard-fought battle between the Maroons and the U.S. government at the Suwannee River, many of the Africans fled farther south into Florida. Many of them would seek refuge in Pilaclicaha, a Maroon town in present-day Sumter County that was headed by Black Seminole Chief Abraham. But hundreds escaped farther south on the west coast of Florida to a community known as Angola, just outside of Sarasota, where we will take our next trip.
El iguanado quiere yeun. El iguanado quiere yeun. Quiere yeun nado a colorizar.
El iguanado quiere yeun. El iguanado quiere yeun. Quiere yeun nado a colorizar.
El iguanado quiere yeun. El iguanado quiere yeun. Quiere yeun nado a colorizar.
El iguanado quiere yeun. El iguanado quiere yeun. Quiere yeun nado a colorizar.
El iguanado quiere yeun. El iguanado quiere yeun. Quiere yeun nado a colorizar.
Welcome to Angola, the Maroon community that was established in the early 1800s and fell to its demise by the year 1821. We got the Curry Homestead. It says Refuge of Peace. The Curry Homestead, including the Manatee Mineral Spring, is ground steeped in history. Pre-Columbian mounds stood here. As a Spanish territory until 1821, blacks seeking freedom from enslavement headed south into Florida. Border skirmishes and slave raids caused men, women, and children to seek safer havens south of the Manatee River. Right over there. At Angola. This whole area here would have been this Angola community. A spot on Florida's Underground Railroad that has been documented by archaeological evidence. In 1821, it was destroyed in a large slave raid. Hundreds were captured, but some escaped to the Bahamas or the interior of Florida to a place called Manatee, and that's where they went further into the interior in a place where it's present-day Polk County. In 1864, Union sailors came ashore and destroyed the Curry sawmill, grist mill. In August 1864, under the leadership of Captain John Bartolf, 40 to 60 soldiers of the 2nd Colored Infantry camped on this site. So this is steeped in very, very rich history. Remember, after you had the Patriot War, when you had a lot of Maroon communities outside of St. Augustine, a lot of them ended up fleeing farther west and farther south. And it was here that many of them escaped to. They established a community here. The community was referred to as Angola because a lot of Cuban fishermen actually referred to this community as Angola, because I think it's probably because there were a lot of Africans in Cuba that actually referred to themselves as Angola or as Congo people, because they had a large influx of Africans that were shipped into Cuba at the time. The Maroon community here, they said it was about 750 plus Maroons living in this area here. And they did all the other things that the other Maroons did in other communities. They grew their own food, they grew their own, they had their own livestock. They engaged in trade all along the banks of the river here, leading out to the bay, to Tampa Bay. And they traded with fishermen, Spanish fishermen from Cuba. They traded with other fishermen from other places like the Bahamas. And they really engaged and thrived in a lifestyle here to defend and protect their freedom, just like the other Maroon communities had done. But it was in 1821, as we know, that Andrew Jackson sent his people in here to come and conquer this area. And a lot of them were actually captured and sold into slavery, but many of them still escaped. Many of them escaped to Andros Island. in 1821, and they ended up establishing a community over there. That's there till this day. Now, if you think about it, 1821 is also the same time that many of them escaped farther inland and established themselves, that community in Manatee, all right, in Polk County. And they were under the leadership of what has been referred to as a black settler by the name of Pony. Right? Here we are. Feel the Congo ancestors, the Angolan ancestors here. And this region in Florida, where the self-emancipating Africans fought for their freedom. Can you believe that, man? And this is a history that they don't teach us, man. They don't teach us this stuff, man. This is rich. Rich. The Maroon community's name, Angola, is a country in present-day West Central Africa, in which the name comes from the Kimbundu word meaning king. The term came to be applied to everyone from the Kimbundu-speaking region outside of the city of Luanda. In some cases, the term Angola was also generically used to even refer to those Africans coming from the Kingdom of the Congo to the north. Nevertheless, like that of Haiti, Florida's Maroon culture was very heavily influenced by the West Central African culture, also referred to as Bantu culture. As in the other parts of Florida, these Bantu Africans of Angola created a community that stretched from the Manatee River to Sarasota Bay. Virtually forgotten for almost 200 years, this Angola Maroon community within the past 5 years has received recognition from the city of Bradenton and a team of historians and archaeologists who are now excavating the land in search of the hidden past. The term Angola was first seen in historic records after Andrew Jackson invaded Florida with his Creek Indian allies to take over the land from the Africans and the natives. When claims were made to certain lands by white settlers whose residence preceded the invasion by the U.S., Cuban fishermen made false claims to the land along the Manatee River where the Maroons lived, referring to this land as Angola in the official record books. Before their Maroon community was burned to the ground, they thrived independently while maintaining trade with the Caribbean. So this is the Manatee Mineral Spring, and all along these banks here, all the way into there, maybe dozens of acres inland, you would have had the Angola Maroon community would have lived all around here. And this is where they would have fished from. This is where they would have traded with other nations, traded with the Spanish, out of Cuba, traded with the British, out of the Bahamas. And this is it. And, the Angolan community, it has the name Angola, and a lot of people were actually obviously from Central Africa, the Congo-Angola region, but that doesn't mean that these were the only Africans that lived in this area. So these people brought with them their culture, they brought with them their customs or traditions of raising food, of cultivation, and they thrived for a long time. And the sad thing is, when we think of the United States of America, and people generally think that this is the land of the free and the home of the brave, but everywhere the United States government went, including this place here, they were essentially taking away the freedom of other people. So wherever the U.S. spread to, whether it was in Alabama during the Creek Wars, or whether it was Florida during the Seminole Wars with the Maroons and the Red Seminoles, or whether it was acquiring the land of Texas, back when Texas was a part of Mexico, a place where abolished slavery way back in 1829. Wherever America went, slavery went, and chattel slavery continued to spread. And the creation of Florida, and this is something that we need to keep in mind, the creation of the state of Florida, in essence, was the creation of a place that was draconian and stripping away the freedom of thousands upon thousands of people. And at one time, this area, this peninsula, in the southern part of the North American continent, was a land of freedom. And as Jackson sent his people down in here, 1821, people from here dispersed. They went to places like the Bahamas, they went to places like Andros Island. To this day, you find the descendants of them there. They ended up going to Cuba. And then some of them went farther inland to a place called Manatee. That's in Polk County. So we're gonna go check out Manatee in a little bit. So let's go check it out. Polk County. Peace.